problem. So she continues to press on, the mother does, even though her feet are hurting. So finally they come to the last stop. And the mother decides to go into the store, and they shop around and find that special item. As they're leaving the store, the mother looks at the daughter and says to her, "Did you see that dirty look that clerk gave me?" The daughter responds, "Mother, you had that dirty look before you went into the store." You may not shop with a dirty look, but I'm sure from time to time you have bought or you have sold an item. Mr. Toastmaster, honored guest, I'd like to talk to you today about making a cold call. What is a cold call? A cold call is not like a traditional sale where you might go to Walmart and purchase an item. A cold call is an expensive item, and you are searching out buyers to buy your item. So keep this in mind. It's difficult to change someone's mind when they are comfortable, as we've been talking about. They like to keep the status quo. Isn't it true with all of us? This might not be proper English, but it said that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the attitude that we generally have. But you must convince the buyer that it's for his own good to purchase your item. Remember, you must be a resource for the buyer. You must be knowledgeable about your product, about his product, about the marketplace, and be able to answer every question that he has. Sometimes we get so caught up in making a sale. I'm sure you all might have experienced that with someone, where they're so focused upon the sale they forget about the buyer. I'm reminded of a situation that happened to me recently. I had two automobiles in the shop at the same time, so I thought, it's time to look at getting another automobile. So I drove by a particular dealership, and I won't call any names. I pulled up in the used car department. Someone was already looking toward the road. So I got out of my car, and it was like vultures descended upon me. I felt like a piece of meat ready to be eaten. So don't be that way. Have your attention on the buyer. And remember to allow the buyer to make up his or her own mind. Don't make up their mind for them. Allow them to be comfortable. I certainly was uncomfortable when I went to that particular dealership. So just respond to them with whatever they may ask of you. Be knowledgeable about what you say. Remember, you must be an expert concerning what you have to offer and answer their questions they might have. Remember that the buyer is your sole focus. So always keep it in mind and be a good listener, as we often stress in Toastmasters. That's a skill that we continue to develop, is being a good listener. By doing that, you will pick up on any objections that the buyer might have. And don't overlook any objection. You might think an objection might be frivolous. Take this for an example. You're selling an automobile. You're getting down to the very last where you're going to sign the papers, and they say, well, this exterior is quite dull. Don't ignore that objection. You say, well, it might be a little dull, and then move on to something else. That way you haven't overlooked their objection, but you responded to it. At this point, I'd like to transition from this part of my project to a role play. The role play is going to consist of me making a sale to a buyer for exercise equipment that the person owns. Pam has so graciously committed to assisting me with the role play. Good morning, Mrs. Jones.
Good morning.
It's so wonderful to meet you. How's your day been?
It's going great.
That's great. How have you enjoyed this hot Texas weather?
It's too hot.
It's too hot?
It's too hot.
I'm sure, well, I know of many activities that one can take part of, swimming and so forth. You ever do any particular activities?
Well, right now, I have started to run, so work out a little bit, well, actually quite a bit. So I'm trying to get something, maybe I can stay in the inside so I don't have to run outside. So I'm doing a little walking, but it's so hot it messes up my hair, so. I'm just get something like, maybe a tread or something like that, where I can be inside the pool.
It's my understanding, Mrs. Jones, that you own some exercise equipment. How is it working out for you? Does it have all of the qualities that you believe you need at this point in your life?
Well, it works for me sometimes. I have a treadmill that my mother-in-law gave to me. I think it was built in the 80s, but it still works. It's a little loud when I crank it up or whatever, but it works. When it doesn't work, I go outside to walk. I go outside to walk, or my job actually has a gym as well, so I'll utilize that. But it works okay for me.
What do you think about a rowing machine or a treadmill that would take your blood pressure? You can look at the internet while you're exercising. You can choose different speeds, different modes, whatever suits you at that particular time. Would something like that interest you?
Well, so, yeah, but it just depends on how much it is. That sounds like that's already going to be expensive.
Well, Mrs. Jones, I have to be honest with you. The cost of the rowing machine and the treadmill that I have is a total of $5,500. But I guarantee you, and I don't say guarantee lightly, that it will benefit you to the utmost extent. From research, it is revealed that exercising is just as effective as medication. And I'm sure with going to the doctor, I'm not saying that you do, that medical bills can be extremely high. And I'm sure that over a period of time, that it will benefit you greatly. And matter of fact, we have no interest financing.
Well, two things. You said $5,000. Can I just get the row without the tread?
Sure, whatever suits you.
Maybe half of that? I mean, that's just $5,000. I mean, I'm hearing everything that you're saying. Well, does it have music where I can listen to all of that?
Yes, it has music.
For $5,000, you need to make a phone call.
But if you want to separate the two, we can do that also for you.
Different colors?
Yes, whatever your favorite. What is your favorite color?
They can put a little pink in it.
Oh, sure.
Put a Howard Jones on it.
That is no problem at all.
$5,000, you say?
Yes. Would you
No
consider
finance.
that?
I gotta talk to my husband first.
Oh, sure.
I must say, it sounds like it's pretty good, and you are pretty effective in all that you're presenting here. I mean, you seem to know everything, and like you're the expert, the health. Well, I think I'm interested. Let me make a phone call and talk to him. You promise you're gonna come over and show me how to set it all up?
Sure. I could bring any other information you might require, and you could take as much time as you would like to take. Thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
The last part of my project will be a discussion on what I could have done better, something you might be able to point out that will be helpful next time a project of this nature is given. Is there any input from anyone in the audience concerning the speech or concerning the role playing?
I think it was done very well. I think a positive point would have been if you could have equated the $5,000 as such and such amount per day and how it benefited you health-wise. I think that would have been effective.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Anybody? Yes, Diane.
You are wanting her to buy something from you, and throughout your whole interaction with her, you were doing this to her. And instead of dumping the information on her, if you can find a way to weave it into conversation, keep your hands at your side, Because I find that to be very, not threatening, but
Aggressive.
it's like, immediately I get turned off, like, who do you think you
I'm
are?
gonna run out the stove.
But I think that everything you presented to her was very good, and she's a tough cookie to sell, and you got very close.
Thank you. I guess one more input if we do have. Thank you.
I think just some more questions to your customer, you know, ask them more questions about what they want instead of just sounding like you're pushing what you want them to take, you know?
Thank you. I certainly wanted to avoid that. At this time, I'd like to return control of the meeting to our Toastmaster, Vicki James.